In a move that has, quite frankly, stunned the entire industry, Microsoft today confirmed that they are purchasing ZeniMax Media, the owners of prolific game publisher Bethesda. That means, in simple terms, Microsoft have bought Bethesda. Along with it, they now own a slew of popular games such as The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Dishonored, Wolfenstein, The Evil Within, Prey, and Quake, just to name a few. In turn, Bethesda Softworks, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, ZeniMax Online Studios, Arcane, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, and Roundhouse Studios are now all first-party Xbox developers. This is one of the biggest acquisitions in the history of video games, and I'm here today to ask, what does this mean for PlayStation and the PlayStation 5? Hi, I'm Liam from Push Square, and before we start today's video, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, it would really help us out. So, where do I even begin with this? This was a genuine shock. I don't think anyone expected Microsoft to buy a whole publisher. I mean, that's unheard of. That's wild. The news was broken earlier today, and I do not think it was an accident that this was announced the day before Microsoft opened up pre-orders for the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. This was a perfectly timed marketing stunt, and it's fair to say that it's paid off. Microsoft have purchased ZeniMax Media for $7.5 billion. $7.5 billion. That is so much money. For comparison, Microsoft bought the creators of Minecraft for $2.5 billion, and Disney bought Lucasfilm for $4.05 billion. Star Wars was cheaper than Bethesda. I can't even get my head around that. That's so strange. Head of Xbox Phil Spencer provided a statement on the acquisition, saying, quote, "is one of the largest, most critically acclaimed privately held game developers and publishers in the world. Bethesda is an incredibly talented group of 2,300 people worldwide who make up some of the most accomplished creative studios in our industry across Bethesda Softworks, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, ZeniMax Online Studios, Arcane, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, and Roundhouse Studios. These are the teams responsible for franchises like The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Doom, Dishonored, Prey, Quake, Starfield, and many more. That's such a long list of studios and games. So we're a PlayStation channel, so we have to ask the question, what does this mean for PlayStation? Well, the immediate question that most people had was, will future Bethesda games become exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem, both on consoles and PC? Will the next Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Starfield be Xbox exclusive games? Well, Phil Spencer didn't explicitly say, which is really interesting. In his statement, he said, quote, "one of the things that has me most excited is seeing the roadmap with Bethesda's future games, some announced and many unannounced, to Xbox console and PC, including Starfield, the highly anticipated new space epic currently in development by Bethesda Game Studios." Now, you'd think if you paid $7.5 billion for exclusivity, you'd be shouting about it at this point, so the lack of clarity is really interesting. Microsoft could be pulling a Minecraft and planning to release every single Bethesda game on multiple formats, both on the PlayStation 5 and indeed the Nintendo Switch. Bethesda have been very big supporters of the platform since its release. And as a PR move, this would be very, very smart. It also wouldn't be unprecedented. Microsoft have released Minecraft on multiple systems and will continue to do so moving into the next generation. They've brought pretty much every single first-party release over to the PC, and they've even launched things like Ori and Cuphead on the Switch. So it would further cement Xbox's new image of a consumer-friendly publisher if they were to release Elder Scrolls and Fallout and Doom on PlayStation hardware moving forward. However, what's really smart is that if Microsoft still publish Bethesda games on the PlayStation 5, it still works in the company's favour. For starters, these games will cost $70 on the PlayStation 5, but will presumably be included in Game Pass day one as part of an existing subscription on both PC and Xbox, which is wild. Just from a consumer perspective, buying 3 games for $70 a piece or subscribing to a subscription service for $10 a month, less than that, as little as $7.99 over here in the UK a month, to play next generation Bethesda games, that is such a huge get for Microsoft. And remember, they've announced this one day before pre-orders open for the Series X and the Series S. How many Elder Scrolls or Fallout fans are going to look at this news and think to themselves, yeah, I'm going to buy a Series X as part of the All Access program, where I get the console for a set fee per month and I get Game Pass included for 2 years. Of course I'm going to go with Microsoft Next Gen. Why wouldn't I? I get my Bethesda games included as part of a cheap, low-cost subscription. This is genuinely one of the biggest and most confident moves I've ever seen a company do. A day before pre-orders open. A day! And of course, there's still a possibility, although I do think it is unlikely, that all of these games could become exclusive. They have the ability to do that now, and it could happen. So what about PlayStation 5 console-timed exclusives that Sony have already purchased from Bethesda, such as Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo? Well, Phil Spencer said that Microsoft will honour these exclusivity deals, which makes sense because Sony will no doubt have already exchanged money at this point. However, and this is something I realised a few hours ago, when you play Deathloop on your PlayStation 5, a timed console exclusive that Sony are going to be shouting from the rafters about, because they already have done. We saw new Deathloop gameplay at a Sony event as recently as last week. These games will boot up, and one of the first things you'll see is an Xbox Games Studio logo. And that is one hell of a thing. Also, these are timed exclusives, so they will eventually come to the Xbox as well, presumably via Game Pass. So what about Bethesda in general? Well, it stands to reason that Xbox will become the lead platform for the company. All of their future games will no doubt come to both PC and consoles. Not only will new releases be part of Game Pass, all existing games will be added to the service. That was confirmed today. So Game Pass will include all Fallouts, all Elder Scrolls, Doom, everything Arcane's ever made. Game Pass is becoming flush with incredible games, most of them now developed by Xbox first-party studios. What's really interesting is that now there is potential for franchises to be passed around within this network of developers. For instance, Obsidian, owned by Microsoft, can now create another Fallout, owned by Bethesda. In fact, Obsidian even did a joke tweet about this very thing earlier today. So who knows what kind of conversations are going on behind the doors of Microsoft. A Halo game developed by id Software? It could literally happen. And finally, one big question I've seen floating around Twitter is, could Sony pull off an acquisition like this? And the answer is no, it seems very unlikely. Remember, this isn't Xbox making this purchase, it's Microsoft. Microsoft have a market cap of $1.5 trillion. In comparison, PlayStation owner Sony have a cap of around $100 billion. That's not comparable. Microsoft are a huge company, especially in comparison to Sony. Microsoft can afford to swallow up these huge publishers, and it will only leave a minor dent on their bottom line. But realistically, the question is, do Sony need to make a purchase like this? And the answer is no. Sony already have a stellar collection of first-party studios. If anything, this is just Xbox catching up. PlayStation has lived and died on its incredible first-party lineup. So although it may be a shame that we might not get Elder Scrolls 6 on a PlayStation 5, this doesn't necessarily mean that Xbox have quote-unquote won the generation before it's even began. If anything, it's just made the next generation way more exciting than any of us predicted it would be. This is a huge purchase, one of the biggest in gaming history. Having Doom, Elder Scrolls, and Fallout as potential Xbox Series X exclusives is a huge statement by Microsoft. Despite the Xbox One falling behind last gen, Microsoft are coming out of the gate swinging. So all those people who said there were no games on the Xbox, it's hard to say that now. Microsoft now own 23 first-party studios. It's going to be an interesting ride. So what do you think of the news of this acquisition? Has it made you change your mind on which console you'll buy next generation? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and make sure to subscribe to Push Square for everything PlayStation. Thank you very much for watching.